Welcome to 2025. We are streaming this episode 7 of Building Resilience in the year 2025. And today we're talking about embracing change. And I think it's a really fitting topic because, well, we always have a New Year's resolution. A lot of people go through year after year. And when they pass January of every year, they come up with that New Year's resolution, and it usually has some goals in it, some things that they want to accomplish in the year, maybe some things that they've missed, and they set it for themselves. Sometimes they go through with it, sometimes it flops, but at the end of the day, they have that day set up. And whether you are that kind of person who sets up a New Year's resolution in the new year or not, I don't think it's a bad idea to set a resolution, whether it's in January or not. So, welcome to 2025. And today, in Building Resilience, Love, Learn, and Lead, we are talking about embracing change. I'm Negam Al Samari, and today I am streaming from StreamYard. So, it's all about change, right? So, what is it about change? One, we're afraid of it, right? There is a lot of people that have this fear of change because we don't know what it's like. We're familiar with what we're in, with the present. We've already lived it, we've already gone through it, we've already seen what it's like. What's upcoming? What's uncertain? It's unclear. And we have this fear of the unclear because we don't know how it's going to affect our life. And so we develop this bad relationship with change because of the uncertainty with it that comes with it. So many people end up resisting change. Some do it despite not liking it, and it doesn't end up doing looking good. And some people are open to change. There's lots of different ways to react to change. And today we're going to talk about it in the framework Love, Learn, Lead, or Let Go. I'm your host, Nagam Al-Samari, and I am glad you're here. So let's first ask you these questions. What is a change in your life that you're going through? Are you a person who likes change, indifferent about change, or are you afraid of change? What changes have you gone through that you felt may have had a positive impact in your life? What is a shift in your personal life or career or maybe relationship that you've been through? Now, as you go through a shift, a pivot in your life, a change that comes up, because of the uncomfortable feeling that it brings with it, it can probably feel overwhelming. But with a resilient mindset, it can also be an incredible opportunity to grow from and to discover something new, a new possibility you have not thought about before. A lot of time, we only think of the negative, the might be. Oh, what if it happens? What if this change actually comes and it ends up affecting me in this negative way or that negative way? And when we think in that direction, we always end up overwhelming ourselves. And it becomes really hard to fit in any positive thoughts within all this negative thinking that's going on. And this is why we need to build our resilient thinking, our resilient mindset. Because once we train a resilient muscle on positive thinking, positive, not reaction, but interaction, then we actually take a step back a little bit before we react to something, including change. Let's uh, let's talk about how we can embrace that change. First of all, um, not every change is good. I have to make that clear. There are changes that are, maybe some innovations in work that may make your work more efficient, save you some time, money. Um, there's some good changes, and there are some changes that they're just not good in general. It's not about liking the change, honestly. It's about embracing it. It's about being open to it, whether it is good or not. The reason for that is change is inevitable. It has to happen. Think about it in the way where a baby's born and that baby learns to crawl, learns to roll, learns to sit up, learns to stand up, learns to walk, learns to run. It happens over time. What that baby's going through is change, and a lot of change. And each phase in the baby's life, it doesn't happen easily. By the time the baby sits up and the baby's happy with herself or himself, and now they have to learn a new skill. And they, stand up, but they keep falling and sometimes get hurt, but it doesn't stop them from continuing forward. Otherwise, none of us would be standing up right now, or none of us would be walking or running or doing the things that we do daily because we're afraid of change, right? So I would say think like a baby does. Because you're going through all this hardship, you're learning something. You are going through these phases, you're developing your muscles to actually eventually learn that skill. So let's start with love. One thing that is really important to mention here is love isn't just loving others. Of course, that's part of it, but love is also loving the experience you're in, the opportunities that you're given, whether they're perceived as positive or negative. Love is also having that self compassion. The first thing we tend to do as human beings is what? Blame ourselves for the inability to do something, for the shortcomings, even for the negative thoughts. Oh my God, why do I always keep negatively thinking about this? How do I stop? Well, you're in the middle of negative thinking. The way to stop it is to stop this whole drama altogether and take a step back and think, okay, this is happening to me. I'm upset clearly. Why am I upset? Or another feeling, and then kind of reflect on it. So what one of the things that it really helps when you have a rush of emotions, because that's what happens when you go through change and there is a bunch of uncertain things that comes with the change. It can stir up a lot of emotion. It could be fear, sadness, it could be excitement, whatever emotion you're going through during these moments. It's so important to be gentle to yourself and acknowledge the feeling. Remind yourself it's okay to feel uncertain. While you're feeling that, ask yourself, what is it that you're feeling? Is it fear? Put it outside. Take it from up here and outside. Is it fear that you're feeling? If it is, why are you afraid? Put it in context. The problem is when we think and we keep our thoughts up here, it's really not in context. It's just it kind of gets messed up with all the other emotions and feelings that we have and the thoughts. And we don't take some time to think about it. So put it in context by actually verbalizing it, bringing out into the open and thinking about it. What kind of emotion am I feeling? And then why? How is it related to the current situation I'm in? Um, Robin Sharma says, change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. Why is it gorgeous at the end? Because it brings a lot of learning and you feel yourself growing at the end. Now, if you're not going to allow yourself to learn from that, though, it's going to be really hard for you to experience that gorgeous at the end. You're going to be distraught the entire time you're going through the change. So take a step back and think, okay, there is a change coming. No matter what situation in your life it is, you may or may not like it, and say that. Personalize it. Say, I may or may not like it. It's going to affect me in such and such ways. I feel this way about it. Fill in the blank. I feel angry. I feel afraid. I feel unprepared for it. The reason why I feel this way is because, and it's going to feel so much clearer. Okay? Because if you, let's say you say, I'm afraid because I don't have the resources to face this change, then your mind is going to start thinking about, okay, what resources do I already have that I can employ? And then what resources can I go out there and get? And what support can I get? This is how your brain's going to start working. Finding solutions versus just shutting down and being afraid. And then the last thing that this you're going to do and you're going to say is, what am I going to learn from this change? What am I going to learn from the experience that is going to take me from here before the change to after the change? And once you put that in that context, it's going to feel so much better. Not necessarily throughout the experience, but at the end, when you realize that you've learned so much, you've taken so much from this. So show yourself compassion at times of change and step back and reflect. Put everything in context. What change have you been going through recently? What is making you uncomfortable? And why is it making you so? Okay, ready for the next one? Learn. We don't think about learning until after the experience is done and over with and time has passed. And it's so unfortunate because we don't actually learn much from the experience. We end up spending our time negatively thinking about it and how to get rid of it most of the time. Be honest. I know this because I have gone through this. When something happens to you, you're always thinking about, how do I get rid of this in the fastest possible way? Where we hide from the entire experience. We don't think about the learning that we go through. And I personally learned this by actually going through all of this, but then reflecting on it. I learned to reflect and think about these experiences, which helped me see how much growth actually comes out of a new experience. The most powerful way to approach change is with a growth mindset, meaning look at it in a way to where this is a learning experience. This is a learning opportunity no one else has. What am I going to learn from this? Every transition, no matter how difficult, it always carries a lesson with it. But you have to be open to it because at that time, if you're close to that experience, you actually won't learn much until very much later on. And then you start putting two and two together, and it will be too late. And you'll reflect and you'll say, oh my God, now I see why I went through this. I don't want you to be that. I want you to reflect at the moment that something is happening to you. I want you right now to think about a time in your life when change has taught you something invaluable. Maybe you lost a job or you had some tough experience where you had to push through. What is that experience that you have gone through? What transition led you to a new discovery or a new role? Um, think about it and think and try to reflect on it in that third person kind of way, that outsider of what it is. Could I have learned from this at the time? Because there's much that you can learn. Albert Einstein says, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Reflect on that. And if you think about your your college days, your school days, you go to school to learn something, right? Sometimes you're not expecting what's the new lesson is going to be. Think about change as a classroom. Change is a classroom, and life is the teacher. What lessons will you take with you? Now, once you've got these lessons, do not keep it to yourself. It's all about sharing the learning with others because this is how we grow as a community. We learn from each other. Lead. As we adapt to change, we also have an opportunity to lead. And now, as a reminder, we have to lead ourselves first. I cannot lead anyone else if I'm not leading myself first. I need to lead myself through learning. I need to lead myself through growth, through reflection before I can lead others. So think about that too. Yes, it's about guiding others and influencing others, but it's also leading yourself and actually leading yourself first. It's about taking purposeful steps to guide yourself through uncertain times. Set small, achievable goals. If you're overwhelmed, I always find it helpful to break things down. They seem like a lot, like a black cloud on top of your head. Take it and break it down into smaller things that you can actually do and accomplish. And then put them all together. And you'll discover that you've done all of this. This big cloud comes down to small steps that you already are capable of doing. Whatever your scenario is, whatever your situation is, um, think about how do you break it down into smaller pieces that are within your circle of control. If it's outside of your control, there's no way for you to be thinking about it and how to solve it because it's outside of your control. And you're wasting your valuable time um in the outside the circle of control instead of inside the circle of control. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. I love that quote by Simon Sinek. It's not just being in charge of people and telling them what to do and giving commands, it's taking care of them because they are in your charge. And you can't take care of others if you don't take care of you. So, how are you taking care of you? How are you leading yourself? If you're supporting someone else through change, you have to be their anchor, right? The anchor has to have enough to actually anchor someone else. So lead yourself first. Have that space to heal, then give it to others. And then the last in the framework is let go. And it's the hardest part, but it's also the most freeing. When I say let go, I'm not saying forget or dismiss the past. It means release yourself from old expectations so you can make room for the new possibilities that the change brings. When you go through a tough experience, and we all have at some point in time, you're a lot of times we tend to hold on to these negative experiences in our head and how we reacted to them and what we did to contribute. Most of these thoughts are negative. And when your head is full of these negative thoughts, it's really hard to have room for positive thinking. I was at I was doing an ultrasound a few months back, several months back actually now, and every time the technician uh, was about to place the little monitor on me to scan, she would ask me to hold my breath. And she asked me to take a deep breath and hold. And I do that. I follow the directions. And then the next piece of instruction after she's done is you can breathe now. And she does this repeatedly. She did it a few times. While I was doing this, I started paying attention to what I was doing with my breathing because I couldn't think of anything else. When you're doing a breathing exercise, when you're um, paying attention to making sure that you are taking a deep breath, you're holding it in, all you can all you can think about is your breathing. Try it. And while I was doing this, I paid attention to something very specific. After she told me to breathe, what do you think was the first thing I actually did? It's not actually, I didn't breathe. I had to let go. I had to exhale the air that was trapped that I had inhaled first. And then I took a breath. So the instructions were take a deep breath, hold, and you're holding that breath in. And then when the technician says breathe, it was really hard to breathe more air because I was already filled with that air that is now carbon monoxide. And so it was hard to take another breath without letting go of the bad air first. So I let go of the bad air. I exhaled it. Then I was able to breathe. It's kind of the same thing in your brain. And I started thinking about that connection. When your brain, your head is filled with these negative thoughts, it's really giving very little room to the positive ones, to the great possibilities that may come with change, the opportunities that are maybe knocking on your door, and you're not allowing them because all you're doing is thinking of the negative. When you go through a tough experience and you start reflecting on it, you think of these, the old expectations you had from yourself and the things that you didn't do. you, that's what I'm asking you to let go of. Don't forget them, but ask, okay, I can't let go of that, I can't forget them, but what can I glean from that experience? What can I have learned from this experience? And maybe how can I apply this learning to a future experience if it comes up again? And that's how you start letting go of these negative experiences, releasing it to give yourself space for upcoming ones and for more positive thinking. Lao Tzu says, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. So maybe you've been holding on to the idea of a perfect career or a relationship that's preventing you from seeing opportunities right in front of you. By letting go of perfectionism specifically, you might discover fulfillment in unexpected places. Or you've been clinging to past mistakes you've made. Letting go can free you to embrace the person that you are becoming. And those mistakes, I want to repeat that I've said this in many instances, mistakes make you who you are. They are your learning steps. You make a mistake, it means you're trying something. You are learning something. So embrace that mistake. Let go of the expectation you had and get a new one. Okay, I learned. I'm moving on. Take a deep breath. Breathe in and reflect. What do you need to let go of right now? Is it a fear, a past regret, or an expectation that no longer serves you? You're growing as a human being. You are learning, you are changing constantly, and you are becoming new. Embrace that change. Embrace the new you. Letting go is an act of courage and it paves the way to growth. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought: change is inevitable, but how you respond to it is what defines you. By having self compassion, learning from the experience, and leading with purpose, letting go of what no longer serves us. This is how we give room to become who we are today. And then we do it all over again because we are constantly growing. Give yourself that opportunity for growth and resilience. Next episode, we talk about fear and how that you could have fear in your life. And it's not always a bad thing, but how to kind of think about it in a different way. Join us next time for building resilience. Love, learn, and lead, or let go. Thanks for joining. See you next week.